One cat, two cats. Simple enough, right? But what about one box, two boxes? Or one person, two people? Huh. English plurals seem so easy at first, but they've got some really fascinating rules hiding just beneath the surface. Today, we're going to uncover them together. Let's get started. So, right off the bat, we hit this little puzzle. Book to books. That's a piece of cake. But box to boxes? Try saying that. It kind of gets stuck in your mouth. So why does the rule suddenly change? Well, that's exactly what we're here to figure out, starting with the most important rule of them all. First things first, let's start with the foundation, the one rule that honestly covers the vast majority of words you'll ever need to make plural. And here it is, the golden rule. It's clean, it's simple, and it is your go-to move for making things plural. For most words, you just tack an S on the end. That's it. Done. I mean, you see this absolutely everywhere. One car becomes cars, one book becomes books, and one house becomes houses. This simple little pattern is the engine of English plurals, and it handles most words you'll ever use. But it's when this engine stalls that things get really interesting. So let's move on to our first set of exceptions. And what's great is that they exist for a totally logical reason. They just sound better and are way easier to say. It all comes down to avoiding a weird hissing sound. So here's the deal. If a word ends in one of these hissing sounds, like S, SH, CH, or X, we add an ES instead of just an S. This adds a whole extra syllable that makes the word clear and easy to pronounce. And this illustrates the point perfectly. Go on, try saying box. It's just awkward, right? But boxes, that just rolls off the tongue. One bus becomes two buses. One watch becomes two watches. It's all about making the language actually work for our mouths. All right, next up are a couple of transformers. These are words where the ending has to morph just a little bit before it can become plural. Let's look at the two big ones, words that end in Y and words that end in F. Okay, so here are the two main transformations to remember. The first one all depends on the letter that comes before the Y. If it's a consonant, that Y makes way for an IES. And the second one is all about sound. That sharp F sound at the end of a word often softens into a V sound when it becomes plural. Here's that Y rule in action. Baby has the consonant B right before the Y, so it transforms into babies. It's the same thing for party, which becomes parties. You can see the pattern, right? But you've got to be careful because there's one really important exception. And here is that crucial exception. Just look at the word boy. The Y comes right after a vowel, the O. In this case, you just forget about the switch rule and you go right back to the golden rule. Simply add an S. So it's boys, days, and keys. Now let's look at the F switch. Just listen to the sound change. The sharp F in wolf softens to a V in wolves. The exact same thing happens with knife. The FE becomes vez to make knives. It's just another one of those small changes that makes the words flow a little more smoothly. Okay, so we've seen the rules and the predictable exceptions, but now it's time to meet the rebels, the irregular plurals. These words play by their own set of rules, and honestly, they're some of the most interesting ones out there. For these words, there are really no patterns to follow. You simply have to learn them and commit them to memory. Let's run through some of the most common ones real quick. A pretty common type of irregular plural is one that just changes its vowel sound. The classic example here is man becoming men. That ah sound just shifts to an e sound. You see the same pattern with body parts. One foot becomes 2 feet. The oo sound transforms into an e sound. It's kind of like a fossil from an older version of English. And then you get some truly unpredictable ones. I mean, who decided that the plural of mouse should be mice? It's a complete transformation. This one is one of the most common irregulars in the entire language. We almost never say persons. One person becomes 2, 3, or 100 people. And maybe the oddest rebels of all are the ones that don't do anything. 1 sheep, 2 sheep, a whole field of sheep. The word for one is the exact same as the word for many. The same thing goes for fish. Okay, we've covered the golden rule, the hissing sounds, the switches, and the total rebels. Now it's time to put all that knowledge into practice. Before we jump in, here's a quick cheat sheet. This table sums up every single rule we've talked about. You can see the standard rule, the hissing sound rule, the consonant plus Y, the F switch, and our two types of irregulars, all in one place. It's a great little resource to have. All right, first question. Think back to our F rule. What is the plural of leaf? I'll give you a second. Since it ends in F, we switch that to a V and add ES to get leaves. Nicely done. Okay, how about this sentence? Can you spot the mistake? London and Paris are big cities. The error is right there in cities. Remember, city ends with a consonant plus Y. That means the Y has to become an I before we add ES. So the correct spelling is CITIES, cities. So, from a simple S all the way to words that don't change at all, we've seen how English plurals are like a mini history of the language itself, full of rules, exceptions, and fascinating rebels. So what piece of English grammar do you find the trickiest? We'd love to know. Thanks for joining this explainer.